knowledge. Thousands of dollars.
But he was hypercritical, but not physically abusive?
Yeah, both.
Oh, yeah.
There was a lot of that. Thank God for the physical abuse, because it made me really hate authority and made me really disconnect from him. So that was a good thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I tried to do that too, where, my dad, he was a raging monster, and you sit there and try to separate, like, I must have got a couple of good things from him. And you kind of make
It's too much work. It's too much work to tease out the good. I'm sure there's some good, but fuck that.
The best you can get is like, he was charming with strangers.
Yeah. He was great when he was drunk. Yeah.
Right. But you got peace around that shit?
Oh, yeah. I think so. I've been in therapy since I was 17. I was made to go to therapy in high school because I was that problem child that wouldn't let teachers teach class. So either I was expelled. Huh?
Making jokes?
Yeah, cracking jokes. Yeah. Practical joker, locking teachers out of the room. Stuffing the water fountains, keeping teachers in elevators.
Wow.
All kinds of fun stuff.
Sound like you had a whole list of things.
Oh, yeah, no. I had a whole program.
So they forced you into therapy.
Yeah, which was great. Obviously I was incredibly resistant to it.
Yeah.
Because I was 17, and what 17-year-old guy wants to be in therapy talking about their problems with a stranger? But eventually it was like I started to realize the good of it, and how I started to flip my whole perspective of life in the self-sabotaging,
right,
and self-destructiveness started to like, oh, I'm out, I'm doing myself. I didn't realize. Yeah.
What the fuck is that one? Like, I'm trying to figure out if I've got a handle on that. Why do we self-sabotage and self-destroy? Because we assume we're shit because of whatever we were told, so we honor that narrative.
Yeah, because we're comfortable with that narrative. We know that narrative.
Right.
It feels familiar. We think it's love.
Right.
But it's not. Yeah.
Right. Oh, man.
And you continue it till you break it, and you go, oh, it's not, the world's not doing that to me. I'm doing it and perpetuating it.
Right. It's all inside job.
Yeah, right.
But you never got but what was your primary means of self-sabotage? You weren't a drug guy, were you?
No, I wasn't a drug guy. That was not my thing. It was just, I guess, just hostile and aggressive, very, very aggressive, and
right. Yeah, you were an
always
asshole.
Making fun of people. Yeah, kind of. When I was funny, I wasn't, and then when I missed, that's
yeah.
That's how you measure it. That joke worked. That one, you're an asshole.
Yeah, that one, that lady's crying. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, people from high school still say, I remember the time you made me cry. And I was like, I'm sorry. I'm always apologizing.
Yeah. But yeah. Well, it's like that bully thing. You got a parent that's a bully. You're going to have a little of it in you, and you got to kill it.
Yeah. Basically, you do. You got to snuff it out.
Now, when you started doing, what was it like? Like in that, I mean, we're going back, but I mean, to have Sam Shepard, Arthur Miller.
Oh,
I mean, because like in a lot of ways you were.
John Malkovich. Did I finish? Raul Julia.
No, they all came
George
on.
Plimpton, remember him?
Yeah, the same night.
It was only 70 seats. Come on, it was the tiny. I wasn't in the real stage. I was in the hallway. I had to be done by 8:00 because it was a real show coming up.
Right. No.
Out.
Yeah.
But when the Frank Rich review came out, all these people came to the show.
To the little show.
To the tiny little show.
Yeah.
Maybe they were gonna go to the main show and they got there early. I don't know. It could have been that too.
No, Frank Rich is a smart guy. I like reading that guy. Is he still around?
Oh yeah, but he's much more political. He did a great article a couple of years back on Roy Cohn. That was unbelievable in New York Magazine.
Did Roy Cohn come see you? He probably did.
I don't think so. I don't think I was his flavor.
Did Trump come?
No. I don't think he likes art.
Yeah, I don't think he likes anything.
I saw him in the clubs. I always used to see Trump in the clubs. He was at every premiere at every club. Yeah, always scouting for talent, if you know what I mean.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, you mean in the dance clubs and shit? Dance
clubs, premieres, any party, any big party. He was always there.
That's the funny thing about people who've been in New York their whole life. That clown has been around forever.
We knew he was a clown. I mean, that's the thing. You always there's that guy. He's always. And then he's like, scouting. Yeah.
I remember being on Conan O'Brien, and he was the first guest. and I was the second guest. And, you know, the segment producer, Frank Smiley, you know Frank?
Oh, I know Frank. I know Frankie forever. Yeah.
So Frank says, he comes into my dressing room. He's like, you want to meet Trump? And I'm like, you know what? I don't. Like, I knew then. I'm like, what am I going to say to that fucking guy? Like,
what do you got to say to him? And you got nothing in common.
Yeah.
You knew he wasn't rich.
He's a creep. He was just a creep, you know?
Right. Basically. That's what we all knew in New York City. That's why when you saw The Apprentice, you didn't believe it. You knew it was all made up. It was a sitcom,
God.
basically.
It's such a fucking nightmare. So, did you talk to any of those people though? Did you become like, you know, like do you have peers?
Oh yeah. Well, because I realized that there was only one exit out. So as soon as I was done, I would run outside to the backstage door and go to that front door and be at that door as they were walking out, and they'd have to talk to me. And they had to say something nice because you can't be mean if you meet me right up front.
Right.
And Arthur Miller was so tall, man.
Really? Now,
He's a big lanky dude.
Big lanky Jew.
And Sam Shepard's a tall lanky. It was like, God, to be a playwright, you got to be tall and lanky. I'm gonna have to work extra hard.
Did they say anything to you that resonated or it meant anything, or did you end up being friends with them?
They were generically positive, so that was cool.
Right.
I just took it as that. It was nothing real specific that they gave me.
Who's your director on a couple? You work with Spike?
Peter Askin.
Peter Askin's your guy.
Yeah, we used to be really tight, Peter and I. I mean, I guess, life takes you to different paths. Man. I still got a lot of great love for Peter.
And what about Spike? You work with him on a show and on a movie?
Yeah. Oh, Spike's the best, man. I mean, I feel like when we did Summer of Sam, I just felt like I really got to a whole new level in my acting because he just creates this safe space for you to do like whatever.
Yeah.
And I did whatever, and Mira and Adrian. I mean, the performances from everybody it was the first time I went to Cannes. We went in Cannes Film Festival together.
Yeah.
So exciting.
Yeah. And like over time, like you work all the fucking time. So what determines, like I watched some of Casualties of War. No, I didn't. I watched that Brian De Palma documentary. And, yeah. But that you were like 12 when you did that. I mean, that was
basically.
But that was like one of your first jobs, right?
My very first film job. It was incredible. Here I am with Sean Penn and Michael J. Fox.
Yeah. And
we're in Thailand for 6 months, and we had to go to boot camp, real boot camp. Like with poisonous snakes and with all the equipment, like the real equipment, the weight of it.
Right.
It was brutal.
And so, like, when you do acting, which you seem to do constantly, and you've worked with a lot of big people over the years, I'm sure people that you're big fans of. How do you make your decisions? You just, I mean, in terms of what you're going to do.
Well, usually it was always like something challenging to me that didn't feel boring or corny.
Yeah.
And since Hollywood wasn't for me, I didn't have to play any of their games, so I just did what I wanted, and I didn't care. So it was like, the clown in Spawn, something really insane and power that was fun for me.
Right.
Tu Wong Fu.
Yeah.
With Wesley and Patrick, which was a blast. And then Moulin Rouge with Baz Luhrmann,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that you run these two worlds where, you're a huge star on Broadway and stuff, but you'll do supporting roles. You'll do, TV work. I mean, you're a working actor.
Oh, I like to work, and I like to work on my craft, and I like to, you can't stay at the top of your game if you're not playing. I mean, like if you're a tennis player and you don't play for a year, your game is not going to be the same. Same thing with acting, I believe. Yeah.
And do you train with a coach or a teacher still?
Oh yeah, I still coach. I still train with a coach. Yeah. I'm still doing readings. I'm doing readings on Zoom with Ethan Hawke and Matthew Broderick, and we're waiting for Godot, keeping our chops going,
Oh, really? And you do that publicly, or you just, you just hang out with these guys on Zoom?
With Ethan, it's just the two of us waiting for Godot. Matthew, we worked on it for a benefit.
Those guys are New York guys. So you guys friends?
Oh yeah, big time.
Well, let's talk about how this, how did this movie come together? Because this is the first time you directed a movie, right?
I directed a feature for HBO, was my first TV thing, and then I did some commercials. And this is my first independent film feature debut.
So who presented you with the story? How'd you get hooked up with the writer?
Carla Berkowitz and Scott Rosenfeld, offered me the teacher role.
Yeah.
And then I went to Miami, met with the teacher and the guys, and it was so incredible, man. Their love for each other was so beautiful. And yet they were always ribbing each other. They're always like,
because this takes place in the late 90s. So these guys are in their 50s, some of them, right? Or 40s.
40s. Yeah. I think I'd say early 40s, early to mid 40s. And the teacher, obviously, he's up there. And I just dug him, man. I did really dug their energy together. It was so incredible how he had found these guys and then cultivated them to this success. And I found that so fascinating. And then they offered me to direct it because of my passion for the project. And I was like, you know what? I think I can actually bring something to this movie. I really think I got a clue. I like chess. I had to crack the code of how do you make that exciting and visual, because it's not.
And how do you understand? How do you seem like you understand it in such a deep way? Like, I mean, that's an acting job. I mean, you may like chess, but did you understand it as deeply as this guy had to?
Well, I'm very mathematical, so
yeah,
I was able to break it down, and I was able to break down how the teacher taught those kids.
Right.
And so, because I'm mathematical, I was like, I grabbed all the best strategies and picked the best ones for film, and then broke them down on camera.
Right.
Sometimes sometimes everybody was like, oh, they're long, but I say I want to show how that happens, how that learning happens in a class. I want to show it. And so I did, by the end of the movie, you really think as an audience that you understand the moves, but you don't really.
No.
but I made you believe it because we had these lengthy classes where I'm showing you, the first move, the second move, the third move, and why, the story behind it. Like that guy, Marcel Martinez, the real guy, when we do a blind chess, which is where they usually put a blindfold or they turn your way. And he can play up to 10 guys. In the movie, he just played five or six of us. And he doesn't see the board. We just call out. And he plays all of us at the same time.
That's a real skill that guy has?
That's his real skill. He was going to be international chess champion of the world, and he was disqualified on a technicality. They said he wasn't naturalized in time, some bullshit technicality, and he never played. He was so heartbroken and crushed by that he never played chess again.
Oh my God. Really?
Mm-hmm. Yes, true story.
That's sad. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, but like in terms of what you're saying as a guy, where we're at in our life, and your sort of kind of passion and responsibility to somehow mentor young Latinos into believing they can find something better in life. This seems to be the natural arc from Latin History for Morons into this
Absolutely.
movie. Where I have to assume that throughout your career, people have approached you and thanked you for showing them that there's another way to express yourself.
Absolutely. And I think that's the payoff of life when it comes full circle. I'm in the August of my years.
We're not that old, are we? When?
I think we're in the August. It's not fall yet, but it's getting there. When it's winter, it's over.
Okay, all right, fine. I'll take August. Yeah,
the August of our years. And then people come back and they say, I write because of you. I do comedy because of what I saw you do. That you could do it, and that's the big payoff, man. That's what I wanted to do, because when I was younger, you just didn't see yourself anywhere, and it was almost impossible to believe that you could do anything. Right. But luckily, I grew up in New York, and it was like, wait a minute. I see movies, I see comic books, I see TV. I know we don't exist there, but wait a minute. In my real life, Latin people are doing everything. Right. They're running things, they're running shit, they're closing deals, they're doctors, they're everywhere. But in the other media, we don't exist. So I knew there was a big bullshit disconnect between the real world and media. Wow. I mean, it was just I knew that. So that's what gave me the courage, because I go, this is real world, that's not.
That's interesting, because it's like it just struck me just now that being somebody like who grew up like me, I grew up, with good, with open-minded parents, progressive people. But because of the media that we take in, which is the only media available at that time, you do get a specific